Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Everything Wrestling. On this episode, we are going back to WCW Nitro, and this will be episode 3 of our WCW Nitro Greatest Hits. Now, in this episode, we will be going over the chaos caused by the NWO. During this time, the NWO pretty much had formed half of their faction uh, and basically start running amok through WCW. But this was also some of the best times and some of the strongest times in WCW as they would dethrone WWE for a long time during this time. So sit back, relax, and let's take a walk down Nostalgia Road. On September 2nd, 1996, the fourth man was revealed, and that fourth man turned out to be the Giant. So we already know at this time we had Hogan, Hall, and Nash, aka the Outsiders, and now being added to the roster was the Giant. So if you notice in the picture, this was the part where pretty much Giant basically turned on WCW, took out some of everybody in that match. And then Hogan, Hall, Nash proceeded to go to the announcers table, kick everybody out, and took over the end of the show. So, and the Giant came up there and joined them. So this was our recreation of that special moment. On September 9th, 1996, will be the first time that we will see the NWO Sting. Now, before we realized that this was not the real Sting, this was the NWO's way of making us think that Sting had left WCW and joined the NWO. So in our picture, we recreate that moment where DiBiase was in the limo talking to someone that we did not know at that time, and Luger just happened to come up on him, thinking that it could possibly be Sting, and Luger turned his back, and the NWO Sting would jump out and jump Luger. So now we had the storyline of this Sting turned his back on WCW. Now it's September 16th, 1996, and now we have a new member that has joined the NWO roster, and that man was Six, aka X Pac. So now Sean Waltman, better known as Six, also known as X Pac, had now come over to the NWO side. Actually, had come over to WCW because remember he used to be with D-Generation X. He had come over to WCW and now had joined the NWO. And if you remember, during this time, we had seen the different vignettes leading up to that next member. But now X Pac I'm sorry, not X Pac, Six was now a part of the NWO. So in our picture, again, if you remember, the NWO will always take over the announcing table, usually right before ending the show. And we got Hall, Nash, DiBiase, Hogan, and Six cutting their promos at the announcers table. On September 23rd, 1996, this would actually be known as the NWO Takeover. And this was where the NWO, which now had approximately, I think, 5 or 6 members, and it was the big names at that time, pretty much came in and started taking over. And that takeover consisted of them taking over the announcers table. If you remember, that's when they started taking down the WCW signs on the set and putting up the NWO signs. And ultimately, with this takeover, we will eventually get their first pay-per-view which was the NWO Sold Out. So NWO was actually at this time so big that it was becoming its own organization, which was actually bigger than WCW. So as you can in the picture, you can see Hall and Nash having their conversation at the announcers table, and of course Hogan is now starting to spray paint NWO on the over the WCW icon. On October 7th, 1996, the NWO will continue to cause their chaos by now targeting the Macho Man. And we all know the history between Hogan and Macho. So now, again, before this was obviously before Macho Man joined the NWO, but Hogan and the NWO would target Macho Man pretty much every week. They would basically jump on Macho because now that they had shown the fact that Sting, which we knew was the fake Sting, but they were selling on the fact that Sting had defunct from WCW. Now the only main person to lead them was Macho Man. He was now taking over that Sting position, and so the NWO made him his target. So for our last picture, it's now November 18th, 1996. And this is the part where Hogan uncovered the issue that Piper was having hip problems, or he had hip surgery, and that he had started calling him a gimp. And he basically called himself exposing the fact that Piper was still vulnerable with with his hip replacement. So in this picture, this is pretty much before they had really attacked Piper remember if Hogan would take the crutch to the hip, but as you can see, the Giant holding Piper, and Hogan is cutting his promo, basically telling Piper that you've been lying to the fans and you need to come clean about your surgery in the hip. So yeah, so as you can see, during that time, it was definitely entertaining. So if you didn't catch Nitro during that time, I would definitely go back and revisit this time, because as they grew in numbers, yes, the NWO definitely did become kind of redundant once they got a certain size. But early on with those main members, man, that was great entertainment, and the NWO was definitely what was in. So thank you for watching. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and also hit that notification button so that you are notified when we upload more of our series and any additional information that we have coming down the hatch. And make sure that you check out our other episodes that we have from our other pay-per-views. Survivor Series is currently running now. Halloween Havoc. We got Saturday Main Event coming down the rafter for December. Starcade, and many more that are coming. So pretty much we are planning to hit a lot of those pay-per-views that you remember, those great times that brings that nostalgia aspect. And definitely check out our Raw series. So of course, for the amount of time that we had with Nitro, we had the Monday Night Wars that were going on with Raw. So make sure, if you haven't checked out our Monday Night Raw series, make sure you go back and revisit that. With that said, again, thank you for watching. Y'all be safe out there and stay blessed. And I will catch you on the next go around.